So if you want to run and get anything to drink real quick, go for it. We are now live.
You're now live?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got my coffee.
But we're real live in 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wrapped up a video.
You just what a video?
Wrapped up a video?
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Right on, right on.
Yeah.
I just
Because
woke
what is it? SJ was at the last Rockstar show.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah?
he's coming on tomorrow to talk about it. That one.
Yeah. So he was just giving me some details, trying to send pictures. And then the whole thing with the dates in May being added. So just trying to throw something out there. It's more sort of clean and official than just a live stream. So finish that up, and then I'll end up posting it after I'm done with this interview.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
This is perfect timing there. Tell everyone about it right now. Welcome everybody that's just coming in. We will be live here in about a minute. We got our internet issues fixed, I think. I hope.
Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know. We'll
Global
see.
internet issues. I was fine too until like all of a sudden I just saw it go woo, wavering in and out.
Yeah.
Guys, for those of you just joining in, if it does dip out, the thing is this will be recorded, so don't worry. We know that it's dipping out, but if it is for a reason, we're recording it. And if I see any dip outs, we're just going to not list this live stream right away, but the nice polished, cleaned up one will be on there. So now we're officialized. Welcome, guys, to the Guys and Guys podcast, where we talk about Japanese music news and other music-related things. And we got Peter from Maine News Network, which is an amazing channel that talks specifically about Band-Maid. So if all you care about is Band-Maid and that is it, or you need all your sources of Band-Maid, you just go to that YouTube channel because they keep you updated on everything. I watch it actually almost about every day now. You guys have been putting out videos a lot, so that's really awesome, man. So how's that going with the channel? I love the success that you guys have been bringing in. Seems like you guys are building up fast, and it's really cool. I enjoy watching it myself. So tell them a little bit more about your channel and how that's going.
All right. Well, I'm sure you all know MNN, right? No, it's been fun. We are 3 months in now, and we're close to 1,700 subscribers. I don't know if we had any like set goal. Like for me, I was thinking, oh, it'd be cool if we have like 1,000 in a couple of months, and then maybe 2,000 in a year.
That's
I mean,
cool. Good.
I don't know, but I definitely felt like there was a fan base because it is Band-Maid, and I did feel that people have some idea of who we are because of Band-Maid Fans Cafe. But it's been fun. I realize I really do enjoy talking with people, getting to know people's perspective on things. Not just talking about, I mean, it is always Band-Maid centric because we are talking about Band-Maid, but I really do enjoy interacting with them, getting to know them. And so that's the big thing, is that not only having interviews, but even, when I'm actually at the venue, like I did for Tokyo Garden Theater, like getting a chance to do live streams and meet fans there and kind of get people together. That's really fun. So yeah. I like it. I think SJ enjoys it, but it's tougher for him because he's a married man with a wife and he's got, all these bills to pay. I have a little bit more, not that I don't, but I do think as a single man, I have a little bit more freedom.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, you guys are doing an excellent job, and I think the biggest thing about this fan base is that everybody is very interactive. Everybody is voicing their opinions, concerns, rather be good or bad. It doesn't matter. There's always a healthy conversation, seems like, in the long term, and it seems to come out as a good outcome, and I like that the fans are that involved. So, like, I appreciate the feedback from everyone that comes in. And so recently you guys just, you had Nick's, that went to the last rock stars, right? And you're working on that video coming out soon. And if you guys want to check that out, they have live streams that he did from the venue. And I just saw the amazing thing that you had set up for Psychie You want to tell everyone
Oh, the
about that?
roses.
You want to talk about that birthday thing you guys set up?
Well, I mean, that was like that kind of stuff is really sort of SJ's specialty.
Hmm.
I think his wife is probably a very lucky lady if he does the same thing.
He better.
Um,
If he doesn't,
no.
there's gonna be yeah, freaking
We'll,
roses. Psyche, you didn't give me nothing.
we'll ask him tomorrow. I'm sure. I'm like, do you do the same thing for your wife on Valentine's Day and her birthday?
He's like, yes, I crowdfund from Band-Maid fans, and I get her a nice assortment of
That's what we
roses.
don't realize. Half of that money goes to his wife's special gifts, which would
Presents.
be totally
Yeah, yeah.
understandable. Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful when I watched the video. Like, it was really cool how SJ had him explain like the flowers. They had these blue roses that were flown from Europe, I believe. If correct me if I'm wrong. They had like this special chocolate that they got. They were talking about where they got it
Right.
shipped in from. I thought that was fascinating.
Champagne. Yeah.
Yeah, the champagne was from France, right? I believe.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of symbolic to like, fans all over the world kind of thing. It's kind of cool. That's the way it rung in my head. I was like, this awesome. Oh, you got these roses from here. You got the chocolates from here. You got the champagne from here. And it's just like this big, amazing thing. And you had the strip that said happy birthday, Psyche with the Band-Maid
Right.
ribbons. It looked amazing. And, good job to SJ for getting that together. You guys raised that money pretty fast. So my thing is,
Yeah.
I just wish I could see her reaction. I wonder what her
Exactly.
reaction was to it.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
it's-
mean,
cool.
it's kind of unfortunate because the only member of Band-Maid that is like very in tune with social media is Miku. Like she's a very aware of what it does, what it can do,
Mhm.
and she reaches out. She's the only one that sort of likes tweets from fans. So she's liked I think 4 tweets of mine from the past few years for different things that I did.
That's cool.
But like she was the one who posted Michael Barber's whole thing with his dolls and the guitar cake and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So like, Misa got her roses and she got her gifts. Nothing. Psyche, like the only thing she'll post is like fashion and shoes. Like that's all it is.
Yeah,
So
I get the impression that they kind of leave it up to Miku to kind of do anything online,
Yeah.
As far as
Yeah.
social media goes, just like let her do her thing.
That's how it is in bands. There's always one person that's really on top of the social media, and it seems like the rest are like, "You got this."
That's how it is in podcasting. Good thing there's Alan here. 'Cause
There's always that person that's like likes, not necessarily likes it, but everybody has their own job. I'm sure, like you said, Psyche's doing the fashion. Probably has a lot of say in merch. I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Probably
Oh, yeah.
getting word. So that's a whole other thing in itself. Like I would hate to do that, so I'd rather do the social media. But Ryan's like the Psyche. He does all the designing and shirt stuff. There.
You're the Miku.
But for Maine News Network and everything
Yeah.
going forward, what are you guys planning on covering in the future? So you got the fans and everything that come on. You're doing live shows right at the venue, which is so awesome. Is there anything else that you guys are planning to do that is going to be special to Maine News Network and concerning the maids?
Gosh, one of the difficult things, which I'm sure you guys sort of experienced too with Gaijin guys, is that you're not in the same area. And there's a cool thing about connecting like over distances, but there's also limits because of that. So at least for myself and with SJ, because we're both have busy schedules, we don't have the opportunity to talk that much.
Yeah.
As far as what we want to plan. Like we sort of have general ideas what we want to do, and then we have like within a couple of weeks, these are the things that we want to do. We just got a little bit of product out. Like SJ was wearing the MNN t-shirt and the cap that
Nice.
he had printed out. So, I mean, there will be some merch coming out in the near future. And I believe it is actually available, but I think SJ has the details on that.
Yeah, I'm looking
But
at
as
this right
far
now.
as-
It's like a white shirt, has the banner on there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's a few different designs that we have, but even that is kind of tough to have time to really make it everything exactly as we
Well,
want.
tell SJ Nix to hit up Ryan for, some designs.
Actually, I've helped him out. There's some stuff on the way, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I've had a little bit of help going on.
Look at
Yeah, there
that.
was
I
a
didn't
little
even know
bit.
that was
So,
happening. And see,
Oh, I got secrets, man. You don't know what I'm doing.
oh, should we tell them about our new channel, Ryan?
oh wow,
Yeah, actually,
goddamn.
we're gonna segue from our own channel. We're gonna go to a different podcast right now.
We're gonna end right now.
Sorry, Alan.
All right.
But no, as far as besides interviews, like I did one Japanese lesson video, and this is for people who are coming to Tokyo for the show. So I'm thinking about expanding that, like doing Japanese lessons for English speakers or other speakers, and then doing maybe even English lessons for Japanese speakers, so
Awesome.
that there'll be a little sort of like crossover in terms of fans and fandom. Because a lot of times what you'll see is that it's Japanese Band-Maid fans, and then it's other Band-Maid fans, international Band-Maid fans.
Yep.
And one thing that I would love to see, because my whole life has been sort of, bicultural, multicultural,
Yep.
is to actually see a lot more crossover and more interaction. So if I can help do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and to speak on that, as a person that's traveled quite a bit, I mean, you're in LA. I know you're ran down and tired. And then you went to that show in LA, which was so fun to meet you in person, man. And then you went back to Japan like the next day. As a person that's traveled and done that, what could you give as advice to people that like maybe want to see Band-Maid at Tokyo Garden Theater? Because I feel like the next big venue might be in Japan. And so for those fans that want to go there, maybe for this future show, head over there. What advice would you give them going over there? What should they expect? What should they prepare for?
Man, I mean, it really depends on what you want to do. Because I think most people don't want to just fly over for a day to watch the show and then go back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like, for example, I don't know if you've actually spoken to Michael Barber. He's sort of one of the big Band-Maid fans. And again, he's the one who did the Dallas show with like the towels, the Flappy Pigeon cake.
Hmm.
And he was in Japan, he was in Tokyo and like everywhere else for about a month.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you want to do what he did, he was visiting like local venues, watching like three, sometimes five bands a night. And
Oh, wow.
he, yeah, so I mean, he probably saw at least like 30 different bands,
Wow.
at least 10 different shows,
That is
Wow.
you
amazing.
know? Yeah, so
That's
you get
crazy.
to hear stuff and experience stuff. I got to go with him a couple of times to a couple of shows, and that was it's kind of changed my perspective, and it's making me look outside of Bandmade for the first time.
Really?
Um, yeah. And
Really?
like don't get me wrong, it's like
The fall of Maine
it's
News Network.
Justin. Damn, you just started, Peter. Just kidding.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I am ashamed. I am ashamed. I am ashamed. No, because in the 5 years that I've been in Japan, like I've listened to other bands and I've enjoyed the music, but nothing has ever kept me the way Bandmate has and still
Mm,
does.
Understandable, yeah.
But it's a very different experience when you listen to music with the headphones on and go, okay, that wasn't bad, that was good, versus going to an actual live show to to a venue that's probably what, 300 tops.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're watching, these bands live. Like the first night I arrived in Tokyo, I saw Bright Ear.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Nice.
and the awesome thing about that show, I don't want to go too long, but it was it was a New Year's show. The capacity was 150. Only
Man.
only 30 fans were inside, and we basically got to
Wow.
enjoy pizza, fried food, some sake, watch the girls perform for an hour live,
That's
and
amazing.
then there was an hour dedicated to fans joining the girls on stage playing their instruments like over different songs.
That is really
Holy
cool.
crap! Was
Now,
that intended to have only that amount of people in there?
Yeah.
Wow.
and I'll
So
actually,
you actually have a lot of these smaller shows, a lot of the bands doing these smaller shows that are a lot more fan centric, and
that is really
it's pretty
cool.
wild.
And I actually have a question for you about those intimate venues. But before I get into that question, I want to ask you, so vice versa, for fans coming from Japan to the U.S. or maybe from Europe to the U.S., because as you know, they're playing again in the U.S. We got a whole nother tour.
Not playing in Europe.
What would your be advice into vice versa, them coming over to the U.S.?
Of Japanese fans coming to the US, get in touch with Hawk Metal or Best Music on Twitter because they do that all the time. Um,
What do they do?
I mean, oh, so these guys are notorious Band-Maid fans, and Best Music who just flew into the States to watch the LA show.
Hmm.
But this guy has been to easily over 100 Band-Maid shows.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and I mean,
So what do they
you'll
do
find.
exactly to help them? They just like they reach out to them and they kind of give them advice where to go or like how to travel in.
Okay, so I think this is sort of maybe one of my biggest tip to anybody who wants to travel to see a Bandmate show is get connected with other Bandmate fans, whether it be via
Absolutely.
Twitter, via Discord, via Facebook, whatever it is, get in touch with a group who seems to know what's going on. And that doesn't mean the entire group does, because that's never the case.
Hmm.
But there are groups online where are at least a handful of people who know, who very much like are on the pulse of Bandmade. And then when it comes to specific venues and more local areas, ask
Yeah.
ask the group, and you'll find somebody in that area who will know where to go, what to do, what advice, transportation, cost, whatever, you name it.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that's really
definitely.
the number one thing I can say.
and don't be afraid to ask. And I just like to ask this question because a lot of people do mention it. And I learned yesterday for Baby Metal, I probably
Mm,
could have went to the concert that happened on 28th, 29th if I did reach out to fans,
mm.
but it's too late. So it's like, damn. But there's such a true statement. And I think that goes for a lot of bands that have a significant dedicated fan base that really try to
Mm.
help those bands reach higher heights. So it's really cool that
Yeah.
Bandmade has that also, which we already know. Bandmade's fan base is really dedicated and really all about helping
Mm.
them, helping people get there. Everyone's, for the most part, pretty friendly. Live is like one of the best experiences is waiting in line, when you're going to a Bandmade
Yeah.
concert, right?
Yeah,
Connecting with
Yeah.
people.
yeah, for me, I am not. I travel like within the country mainly, and then but it's always with somebody else. So when the tour happened last year, I went out to LA with my family, and I met Peter there. And it
Mm.
was after that show, I wasn't worried about going to the East Coast because I went out to LA and then went home, worked for a week, and then flew out to the East Coast by myself. And I wasn't worried about it because I knew there's people I was going to see there that I saw in LA. And then I
Mm.
like made connections out there. I mean, granted, my
Mm.
channel, there's people from there that, I met that I never met in person. But I met some people in LA that I was like, well, I'm going to see them in DC.
Mm.
And then, so you're absolutely right. There's a network there that you can reach out and communicate with them beforehand. And when you meet them, they're the same person, that you're talking to online.
Mm.
That's what I found out, which is really
Mm.
cool. And it's an immediate kind of comfortable situation you're in instead of being in an awkward situation. It was really cool.
Awesome. Now, going back to what you were
Yeah.
saying about intimate venue settings, when you saw Bride Deer, they had the food, the cookout, and all that stuff kind of thing going on. Not cookout, but you know what I mean? That kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people that say on Reddit, Discord, everywhere, like, Bandmate is so good in an intimate setting. But what was the huge difference or pros and cons between seeing them in that intimate setting that we got in the U.S. Multiple times, which was amazing, compared to Tokyo Garden
Mm.
Theater, where it's a bigger venue and a bigger stage? What are the pros and cons to both those concerts, you would say?
Ah, I will live and die by small venues. Like For me, because I mean, there are people who love the sort of the spectacle of a large show. There are
Hmm.
people who want to experience, and like this is the unfortunate thing, is that ideally, if you are, I haven't experienced this. The closest I experienced this with Bandmade was in 2020 in February at the Shibuya Line Cube shows. So February 13th, February 14th. And this is again like it's a pretty popular Blu-ray. It's the last one that came out. No, not the last one. But that's where, we got to sing together and then, we were singing Endless Story together. And Psyche's talking and to the crowd and saying like, "Oh, like we were supposed to be at Buddha." No. No, I'm getting this confused. Because that was a show where they announced Budokan. Anyway, she was really happy. She was talking to the crowd. We were all singing Endless Story, going, "Whoa, whoa,"
Mhm.
and it really felt like it was it was like a spiritual concert almost. Like you're almost elevated. And when you have that large a group, um, it feels a little bit more, what's the word? I don't know, magnificent.
Hmm.
Sure.
But in terms of myself personally, I've always loved the more intimate. So for
Yeah.
me, like when I go to a smaller show, like in Japan, the smallest venue I've been at was probably 800, which is in Hiroshima. But when you're packed, you're sweating, you're shouting, you're not really crying, but you're just like you're shouting, you're yelling, you're singing,
And probably
you're having an
crying.
amazing time.
That's
Maybe.
You're crying.
Not that night. Not
That's
that night.
good.
Not that night. But that's in it for me. Like I love that. Uh Tokyo Garden Theater, it's massive, but there are seats and the stage is so wide
Yeah.
and the girls are so spread apart. And the thing is, the girls, not only the fans, but I think the girls operate better when it's a smaller stage.
Right.
Because one of the exciting parts of a bandmate show is their interactions.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
seeing,
Yeah.
like when Konami goes up to Psyche, when Misa goes up to Akane, like when like all of those interactions, there's such a sweetness to it. There's a sweetness to bandmate that people love.
On the
There's
larger
they have that little sugar.
on the larger
Mm.
stage setting, though, do you think there's a way maybe they could implement a better reactions with the crowd because maybe they're just new to that bigger size venue, and this might be just something that they have to get adjusted to because they haven't done too many right now for big venues,
Right.
just being Tokyo
Yeah.
Garden Theater. Because a lot of people like that I read, I don't know how true this is. They seemed a little
Mm.
stiff in the beginning, but then loosened up later on. Maybe it's just like getting used to that massive crowd being there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was like I think it'd be a different story and it'd be a different conversation if it wasn't for COVID. Um,
Oh, true, true.
because
Good point. Good point. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
because that is the big issue is that you have the COVID restriction and this was sort of the weird policy at Tokyo Garden Theater was that you have to leave your mask on, but you can shout back and you can respond when you're asked to. So
That's
if there is a
Ah.
call and response, then you can respond to that. But otherwise, you shouldn't. But that kind of rule is very it's
yeah.
just
If
so
every song
like in the
speaks to you,
in the
you want to respond all the time, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from what
So
Man.
from what I saw with the Tokyo Garden Theater, there was a lot of lights. It seemed like a big show, and I thought
yeah.
to me it looked epic looking, and I wish I was there just to see them in the
Mm,
concert experience. I'm a fan of both experiences. Like
mm,
lately, I've been craving those big performances. Like I want to see like a show. I do love the
mm.
live venue, and I love being up there up front. But I would be curious to see what Bandmade will evolve into when it becomes the huge like stadium, you know. I am curious to see how that would be. Now, according to like Reddit and some other places, they say when you walked into Tokyo Garden Theater that no matter where you sat, it was a pretty good view of the stage. Like it was huge, but you could, from wherever you would sit, it was pretty well, or you were capable of seeing it pretty well. Is that true, or how was it going into that theater? What does it look like? Describe to the people listening.
Describe it. There's a lot of seats. The ceiling goes up pretty high. You have the ground floor. I think you had 3 or 4. I don't even remember, 3 or 4 like different floors and like balconies in the back.
Oh wow.
But I was very fortunate, and I can't say many people experienced what I did because I was directly in front of Misa.
Oh, wow.
So it was front row at the
wow.
rail, directly in front of Misa. But that's the thing though, and I was telling this to SJ because I had the option of sitting there or sitting still on the ground level, but a little bit further back in front of Konami. And the reason why I was debating was because if I'm a little bit further back, I can catch a better view of the whole show.
Right.
You know, because when you're I think when you're in a venue that large, you may wish and want an intimate experience, but you can't get that.
You know,
And so you kind of have to change gears.
yeah, it's a good point because those places we saw him on the tour was you could be right in front of Konami, but even those small venues, you were still blocked from seeing Misa if you're on Konami's side, just because of how they position themselves. And it's got to be even worse on a huge stage like that when they're trying to cover the whole stage. If you're in front of Misa, you may not even see Konami on the other side. Or
so
you can't move around to go check her out either.
That was the thing, is that SJ mentioned, I guess, when you guys were doing the chat, there's that moment where Konami is doing the binoculars and like
with her coffee.
I didn't even catch that. I didn't even catch that because she was way on the other side.
Oh yeah.
You know. So one of the things that I think was very limiting from it's great to be directly in front of Misa at any show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like every member is that much further of a distance.
Yeah.
Because like, for example, when I was in LA at the Belasco with you guys, you know, I was in front of Misa as well, but Mika was still right there.
Right there. Yeah.
You know, and there was even a moment with Psyche during Warning where not Warning. It was Play, I think, one of the songs. But she caught a quick look at me and then she pointed at me and I pointed at her. And even though, again, it was like, even though the stage and they were at a distance, it wasn't so far that I couldn't interact with other members in some way.
Right.
You're going to have to share
but
them
at Tokyo
now,
Garden. Yeah. But at Tokyo Garden, you know, you really, it's telescopic in terms of like the distance.
Even if you're close, because so you said you're at the rail, but what's the difference in distance from them to you as opposed to when you're at the rail at like the Belasco?
Right. It's a different story completely.
In that situation, you might want to be further back, right? You might want to be like...
Yeah. So, I mean, that is my recommendation. Okay. So one of the things that made me aware of that, and that's the reason why I was debating, is that when I was at Shibuya Line Cube, it was 2 nights. And the first night I was closer up towards the Misa, which was great. But when I was there at the second night, I was way, way in the back. And when I was way in the back, it sucked because, you know, they're about like this small to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I kind of saw the big scope of their show with like the lasers, with the lights, with the projections and all of that. And I think if I were further back for Tokyo Garden Theater, I probably would have been able to have told a different story and had a completely different experience. So it was almost like being in front of Misa and trying to grab that intimate sort of feeling, but not being able to get it. Versus if I were further back, I think I could have been like, okay, this is the show. This is the spectacle.
Right. You wouldn't have had the feeling of wanting to grab an intimate moment as opposed to just appreciating the whole thing.
Right, right.
Now,
Were you? What about the? You know, you if you're farther back, you have the big video, the giant video screens. But I've been at a few shows like that, and I find myself watching the screen so you can see them. But I'm like, well, watch the actual
Mm,
band, but they're so small
right.
that you can't really see
Right,
them.
right,
yeah,
right, right.
I think at that point it might be more about the sound. And
Yeah.
that is what I was gonna ask you. How did it sound being right next to Misa? Did it matter, or do you think it was an awesome
Um,
sound in comparison? I know we saw it through a screen, but I know it's way different when you're in person.
right. Well, because I watched that live stream as well afterwards, and the sound was great. But I would actually say that the sound was actually just as good. Like it was really
Oh,
balanced.
nice.
So I could hear Konami pretty well. I could actually hear everyone pretty well from where I was at.
Wow.
So in terms of the way that they mixed that, it was pretty damn well mixed.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
Um,
that's fascinating that I was that close to the what you watched afterwards to being in person. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
they, I don't know, Band-Maid really, I mean, at other shows as well that I've been to in Japan, like they have a way of like capturing their sounds amazingly. I mean, because I mean, what about for you guys when you went to the different shows like in the States? Like, how did you feel about their sound? Did it feel off? Did it feel worse?
There was some LA was it was a LA was an experience. It was really loud. And when I got to DC felt a lot better.
Mm,
I think it wasn't as loud,
mm,
and um, I was over just past Konami in DC, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And it was just easier to hear. Like I could hear, like you said, I could hear Misa if I want to hear Misa, even though I was all
mm,
the way to the right stage right
mm.
or stage left, I guess, whatever. But um, there was different. Alan and I both had. We were on the rail at a couple, then we were up in the balcony seats in a
Oh,
couple,
okay.
and they were both like great experiences. But it's still, even those small venues, being up front is like, here you are, and you have a limited scope of what you can see,
Mm,
which is great because I want to study what Konami's doing on the guitar anyway, right? And I can
mm,
see everything. But if I
mm,
wanted to see Misa, I was like, and unless she came to the middle stage or over to the other side of the stage, I couldn't really see her.
mm, mm,
So when you're up in the balcony or just even back a little bit, you can see everybody. You can, there's moments that I missed just because I was up. If you're up front, you're going to miss the other side of the stage when
right.
homage night time and stuff like that. If you're up in the balcony, you get a little bit better sound and you get to see kind of the whole thing going on. So
Mm.
yeah, it really does depend where you're at in each venue, but even each venue compared to each other, there's just different sound levels and I'm sure Alan could go on forever about reflection and different venues and
Well,
sound and how
I
it makes
was
your ear. But
I was just gonna say, like the balcony seats, I thought was amazing and one of the better sounds for me
mm,
because bass carries up there more, and I thought that was really cool
mm,
to hear. I think it was in where were we? Philly. That was amazing on the balcony, and then when we were further back, when we're in Boston, that was probably the best because it had lower ceilings, and
yeah,
you that was like perfect sound. L.A. was just like Ryan said, loud and echo, lots of echo. So like everything was bouncing off of everything, even though all the venues
mm.
look pretty similar, as in the way that they set it up. But it seemed like there's just a lot of reflecting in LA that I
Okay.
think got lost, in my opinion. But yeah. Other than when you showed up at Tokyo Garden Theater, is it a good mix of people internationally showing up there compared to Japanese fans? Is it like half and half, or
Oh, no, 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 not at all. Not at all. I mean, it was predominantly Japanese. Um, yeah, it was predominantly Japanese, but you definitely, I mean, it was intentionally because, like I made a point of it like on our Facebook page to gather people. I was like, okay, well, why don't we meet at this time? We can get together, we can eat, we can come back. People who need to get their tickets can do this.
right.
Um, people who want to get merch can do this. So try to have some sort of schedule for the day where people who didn't know anybody could kind of at least meet somebody.
Hmm.
and had some sort of point of contact.
How difficult
Yeah.
was that to
Um,
get them together? Was it difficult or pretty easy?
well, I mean, if people wanted to be there, they were there. It's
Yeah.
not like we had a specific number of people, but it was just okay. Well, you kind of have to interact a little bit, get an idea of when people are coming and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, all right. So here's the plan very generically. We'll meet here. There's merch. So get your merch. After merch, we'll meet back at here. Then we'll go eat. And you can eat wherever you want because there
Uh,
was a food court like inside the mall. After that, come back. People who need their tickets can get their tickets. People who want to get online can get online. People who want to just do whatever can do whatever. So
it's awesome.
um it was interesting because that was the first show that I've been to where I was sort of a known entity, you know?
Oh,
So
okay.
that was the first time when I was doing the live stream because of MNN. Um, it's kind of whatever, it's kind of what you guys experienced when you guys went to the shows for the first time like, for
Yeah.
Band-Maid.
That's
I know for you
crazy.
guys, it was like, oh my God, dude, Brian, like, oh my
Yeah, it's
gosh, you're
weird.
Dakodic. Like, hey, I know you. So for me, um, it was something that was very unexpected, especially because, we are still sort of a fledgling channel. We just started. So I didn't expect that from people that I didn't know. Like there were people I think
So you
I
got
expected it.
recognized. People are like,
Yeah.
hey, hey. It's a weird thing, man. It's cool.
And it's almost normal if it's somebody who's foreign. Like if somebody is American or European, I kind of expect it more because they're more involved with Facebook.
Hmm.
But then when I started getting people who were Japanese and come at to me like, "Oh, Peter Lim," I was like,
Oh wow.
"Oh wait, you watch our channel?"
That's cool.
That's awesome, man.
Oh yeah.
So it was great to have that sort of response from Japanese fans like interacting with me. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, because they're
Um,
pretty silent on the social media side of things, but you see the views coming in, so you kind of know that
right,
what someone's watching out
right,
there. Was there
right.
was there anything at the show that you saw that wasn't in the recording that we saw
Oof.
that you can remember that you were just like, oh wait, they cut out that part, or oh that part wasn't there.
Well, no, they didn't cut anything because again, that was a live stream. It was just the editing.
Ah,
Uh,
gotcha. That's true. But like, how about
so
before or after?
in terms of things being cut, it was just the amount of time dedicated to this person or to this shot. So
Hmm.
one of the things that stood out was when they played the nonfiction days at the beginning of the last chorus, when they go into it, there's that split screen with all five of them put up together, like
Yeah,
right up. And that was amazing. Like that, I
that's
cried.
cool.
I cried. I
That's when it
cried.
happened.
That was one of them. But the minute, because I love that song. Like that
Yeah.
is absolutely one of those songs that I feel is just tattooed like in my soul. So that song comes on, it's playing, and then that shot comes up. And as I was watching that, and I was like, okay, screw the stage. I just want to see this right now. And
Yeah.
in the live stream, it only lasts for a few seconds,
Yeah.
but that thing went on a good portion of the chorus, like when you were there.
Hmm.
So I'm just watching
Wow.
them. And when you see that, you see all of them. And I was just like, man, they are so different and so distinct, such clear and like separate personalities. All of them amazing, all of them exciting, all of them like born to really just do something special. And it just like that shot in that moment, I really just felt like these are fucking rock stars. Like they are
Yeah.
rock stars. And to be
Hmm.
able to just sort of like drink it in, like that's something that I wouldn't have been able to have gotten if I had just watched the live stream.
But we already
So
got the last rock stars. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I'm kidding. I had to. I wasn't gonna say it, but I had to. I'm kidding.
Did you?
I'm kidding.
Did you?
Are you really sorry?
I'm kidding. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, keep going. You're saying.
Yeah. No, I'm done. I'm gonna go to sleep.
That's it. This conversation is over.
Yes. Yeah, no, so that was a special moment. There are other things because, you know, when you watch the live stream, and especially because they were using a lot of smoke. So especially when they brought in About Us, and then that sort of like 1-2 combo of About Us, and then their new song Memorable.
Yeah.
So the minute About Us came on, like right before it started, you see the smoke sort of filling the stage. And you know, as it was filling the stage, I was like, slow song? Which which slow song? Like could it be About Us? And then you hear that da 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 da. I was like, ah. And it just ugh. You know, you see the lights, it just goes, and then it goes to this new song. And then, you know, like I couldn't understand everything, but there are portions of it, I'm hearing of it in English and in Japanese. And I can't think of the lyrics of it right now, but it's like, I think there's one where it's like just a little bit more, like with you, and like I don't have the words. And something, what does she say in English at the end of the chorus about your smile? I love to see your smile. Something. But like those are moments which I think I don't want to say you have to be there, but if you are there, it's special.
Yes, exactly. I get what you mean. It's just a different thing when you're actually there in person, connecting with that human being that's on stage, you know? I think that's a big difference. That's the great thing about being at live shows. What were your initial thoughts when you heard that new song?
I loved it. I loved it. The minute I heard, because
to realize you're hearing something new, man, had to be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah. So in between About Us and in between About Us and Memorable, there's that little instrumental where I think Konami had recorded some keys.
Yeah.
And just sort of riffing off of the melody of About Us and like little things. And in the very beginning, I thought, wait, is this the song? And I was like, no, this isn't a song. Like Miku needs time to change to the acoustic, you know, and that's happening. And then once it starts, and then Psyche singing the acoustic, I absolutely love it when I hear just an acoustic in Psyche's voice.
Yeah.
So that song starts going, and I knew right away, okay, this is a song that was written during the US tour. Because this was also mentioned in an article that Konami had said where, oh, she wanted to introduce a new song that, you know, they had written like during the tour at Tokyo Garden. And so the minute I heard it and I was listening to the lyrics, I was like, this is basically sort of a love song to the fans. And I was like, not again. And then the tears.
Dude, how many bands
twice
have done that for their fans? Like not one, but two songs just dedicated to the fans.
Yeah, it really boggles my mind. I think that's one of the most they're just such a generous and egoless band. They're so egoless. And I think because the thing is that the concept of maid and we are masters and princesses, I feel like even though ultimately they're, I think, the masters, you know, ultimately Band-Maid like is the master, but they view us and they treat us as people to sort of take care of, you know, and I feel like they do that really well, like with their music, with their fan interactions. And even though that's not necessarily the case online, at the shows and what they provide for us, I mean, yeah, again, like providing a song, like these are eternal things that are given to fans, and that's like ridiculous.
Yeah, that
That kind
idea
of
of the fans being masters and princesses, it's like they're catering to us, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
like it fits that whole like egoless thing that you're saying, which is really cool. Was there anything
Dude, I don't
else?
know
Yeah,
how many
I
how many
Go ahead.
shows I've been
Go.
to where the singer's like, gives you a thumbs up and like, good job on singing back to me. You know what I mean? It's a little thing, but it's important. Like, oh, good job, guys. It's like,
yeah.
thank you. We're doing good. It's like he said, we're doing good.
I thought you were gonna say when they're being sarcastic or something, because those bands. There's a band I saw that completely just turned me off the wrong way when they're like, "I want a fucking pit right now." I'm like, "No," and walked
Yeah,
away.
you need to earn that, dude. You don't demand it.
It's like peace. Yeah, there's a time and place. Some bands don't have any self-awareness and they start demanding things immediately, and it's like
Mm.
those are always fun. Um, you mentioned earlier
Uh,
other bands that you're getting into. What and how Band-Maid's like been your main focal point. Is there a band that comes close to Band-Maid that you've been into?
no, there's no band that comes close. And the reason why there's no band that comes close is I am massive on songwriting and the song. Like the ultimate product is what matters to me. So
Hmm.
for me, I'm happy that you can play so quickly. It's great that you're so clean and technical and know all of these different modes and whatnot.
Hmm.
But in the end, it's like, is that inside of a good song? And is it something that captures my heart? Is it something that makes me feel like, damn, that was a good song? Like whether it's a rhythm or it's a melody, or it's a riff, um, maybe it's a new sound, whatever it is, like it's got to feel like, oh, this is just a great song. But there's so many bands out there that I hear, and I go, oh, this is nice. And it all sort of stays in this like mid-tier layer of just niceness,
I completely
you
agree.
know?
Yeah.
And there are songs that I'll hear and I go, oh, that was a nice song. But Band-Maid is the only band where over 90% of their songs that I listen to and I hear and I go, damn, that song, it sticks with me. I remember it. It has this particular or these particular rhythms, these particular melodies, these particular arrangements. But
It's
again,
impressive
like,
as a whole instead of this part of the song was really cool.
yeah, even though they're impressive individually as musicians and as instrumentalists, ultimately it's what do those individuals combine into? What does it form into in the very end?
Hmm.
And so for me, if I don't hear a great song, regardless of how talented everyone else is, it doesn't really matter to me. And I feel like I've listened to a lot of other bands. I go, oh, that was a really good song. Oh, that was a really good song. But to have the percentage that Bandmate has, where damn, that's an amazing song. Damn, that's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Damn, that is
Hmm.
an amazing song. And for all of that, I mean, you have to attribute it largely to Konami just being an amazing, like, composer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um, so, like I don't want to call out this band, um, but I'll just say I was listening to a band and some of their albums, and I thought, they're so talented, but their songs are sort of just mid tier, And there's a few standouts which are great, and I love those songs, but just those few.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some bands that they put out, their teaser for the album or their single from the album is a great song, and you're like, damn, this is really good. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. And hear the rest of it, and it's
yeah,
like it's not standing up to that first song I heard. And it's
right,
then you find Band-Maid, you're like, wow, that's a really good song. I want to hear more of it. Then you hear the next one, it's like, damn, that's a really good song. I want to hear another one, and it just doesn't
right.
stop. That's that's a that's a really rare. It's a rare thing.
Yeah, I feel like
Song after song.
it's one thing to say, damn, that's a great song. It's another thing to say, damn, that's a great album.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, damn, that's an amazing discography.
Right, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just spread out like that, like how. Just think of it scoping out like that, because there's a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of bands we all like that have like that one amazing song, and then
Yeah. When
that's
you
Yeah.
when you when you brought it to that, damn, that's a good discography. That the amount of bands that you can include in that gets smaller and smaller. From
Yeah,
this is a great song, many bands, great
right.
album, shrinks a little bit, great discography, shrinks even more.
To
And
be
it's,
honest, I
Right.
can't think of a band discography wise that I could compare to Band-Maid, actually. Like, not when you said that, I was like,
dude,
wait
yeah,
a second.
that's-
Holy shit. Like, I was trying to think of all the old 90s bands that I loved. I'm like, no, there's only like 3. No, there's only like 2.
yeah. I think, let's see, of the ones I've listened to, the only one that's probably consistently that good is probably like Alice in Chains. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a bad album they made.
Hmm.
Metallica, there's some pretty bad albums as far as I'm concerned. Same as Guns N' Roses. You know, all these big bands that have been in my life. That's just my experience, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, man. It's a rare thing.
Yeah, that's like, just to think about that. That's kind of wild, and that says something about those bands that can actually keep up that many albums consistently good, you know. And the fact that they're just doing it over and over, especially when they took over writing, right? Like after that, it's like they blew off the doors, you know. I think when you, and it's funny because I still like the earlier albums anyways, so I like them for the characteristics of Psyche's vocals back then. I really enjoy them. And speaking of Psyche, she did a pretty long MC at that concert at Tokyo Garden Theater. And how was it being there in person to hear her kind of just chill talk? 'Cause I think it was a good 30 minutes, right? If I'm not mistaken, she was out there talking. How was that, Peter, when you were there listening to her talk? Was it captivating? Did she really draw everyone in?
Well, I mean, the thing is that in shows in Japan, Psyche, or at least the shows that I had been to previously, and that had started from 2018. Psyche had her own like MC moments where she was just talking to the crowd, chilling with them, and just talking about whatever, just kind of riffing with everyone. So it didn't feel out of the norm, which I know is different for people who had only experienced shows in the States or maybe in Europe as well.
Yeah,
Or elsewhere.
like us.
Because in those situations, Miku is very much the spokesperson doing the MC time, because she's the one who has no shame and no fear and will just say whatever, no matter how wrong it is. And people love her for that, you know. But in Japan with the shows, like, yeah, Psyche has her MC time and she'll just chat about whatever. So it didn't feel all that new or different. It was almost just like, oh yeah, that's right. It felt nostalgic for me to hear her just kind of relax and chat and talk to us. It was like, that's right. This is what shows were like before COVID. So I enjoyed it. It did seem like it was almost a little too like non-scripted, where she was like, so
I felt that when I was watching it. I'll be honest, I skipped through it, but I'm like, I'm sure it's probably better if like you know what she's saying, you know,
language,
yeah, because you could
Right.
tell it was like a ramp. I'm like, man, that must have been really special for those people though that were there, because for me, I never saw Psyche go on like that, and I'm like, that was probably really special for everybody that was there listening, you know.
That's I was surprised. I wondered with that big of a venue if they would be that comfortable to do just what they do. And then I'm like, man, they're treating this like any other show, like
Exactly.
Right.
which was great. I think, you know, it's like, this is what we do, and we're gonna have this time with you guys, and it was just really cool to see.
Yeah, and they're doing this at Tokyo Garden Theater going on like that. You know, they treat it like a small venue. You know, it didn't seem any different than when we saw them. When I watched the videos, I was like, this is just like when we saw them at the small venue. It didn't seem anything different other than the lights. I mean, there was a lights and a big screen, so there was that, but you know, it's still just that. But
Right. Well, I think one of the things that was different also though this time around when I went to Tokyo Garden was that my last show previous to that was in LA. And being in LA where there's absolutely no restrictions in terms of like yelling and shouting, just losing your mind. And then the absolute synergy of the crowd interaction with the girls' reaction. And then there was like this like continuous loop, you know? It was just like feedback with each other, just like that kind of reaction. So it was not only the reaction of the girls to the fans to the girls, but the girls towards one another. And then at Tokyo Garden Theater, again, because the stage was so spread out, they did a little bit of that, but there was a lot less of it than there was compared to like the shows I think in the States. And again, especially because there was that very sort of ambivalent rule of like, okay, you respond when, you're asked to, and then don't talk.
Yeah.
So so that kind of limited, I think, the excitement for me personally in terms of the show. And I think it, as much as I was glad to be at Tokyo Garden Theater, from the shows that I've experienced, like I've been to 11 shows so far, including Tokyo Garden. It wasn't my favorite.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was happy to be there. It was a great experience, but it wasn't my favorite show compared to
Gotcha.
other shows.
What is your favorite show?
Well, it was a back-to-back. They were back-to-back shows in Hiroshima and this other place called Fukuoka. And this was 2019, where in 2019, at one show, I got to talk to Psychie and Miku on stage. Well, I wasn't on stage, I was in the crowd. But, they asked, "Oh, are there any foreigners?" And I was like, "Oh, LA."
Do you just
And then
do you say that at every show? Didn't you say that in LA too? When they say that?
where's you
Yeah,
from?
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
They're gonna catch on to you, Peter.
Wait a minute. Yeah, you were shows in every continent.
Everyone's
The
gonna be
reason
wondering,
why-
like, where is Peter from?
The reason why this is actually funny is at Tokyo Garden Theater, she goes, "Are there any foreigners?" And then in Japanese, I said, "Imasu," which means here. And I actually heard my voice in the live stream.
Nice.
That is awesome.
So,
Now, I was gonna say, I was reading there was a lot of hype for the intro of No God more than usual. What was the hype like when you were there? Could you describe it to us, like how that was?
See, the thing is, now here's the thing. When you're in a smaller venue and you're at the rails, you can still feel the heat from behind you and around you, beside you, and you still hear the voices.
And smell that nasty breath.
When you're
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes, and that's another show and another venue and another story.
Ryan.
Goddamn cell phones.
I will say that I got pretty angry at somebody who just needed a shower.
Yeah.
That can happen.
And it was worse. It was worse because the entire show they were just with their hands up. Okay, going back. What was the question?
It's about No God. I read on Reddit in some places that they said it was super hype for the intro for No God more than usual at the show. So I was curious if that was true or
At the
not.
show?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I was right at the rail. I was right at the rail with Misa right in front of me. There was my friend next to me, and then there was a gentleman next to me on my left who had binoculars.
Binoculars.
Yeah. So throughout the show, he would pick up his binoculars to look at the stage, and I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
look at Konami,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
off on the side.
Not
But
a bad
because
idea.
Not at all.
because there's a reasonable distance between the seats, and they're all spread out, and I don't know. Like I'm hearing so much more of what's in front of me than what's
Yeah.
behind me. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Yeah.
actually cannot tell you what sort of hype there was for the No
Yeah.
God intro.
I just thought that was an interesting comment. I was like, there was a lot of mention of that. I'm like, ask Peter. But
Who said that? Do you know who mentioned that?
no, I don't. It was on Reddit and stuff. I was reading all the hype stuff on Reddit about the question. Thank you, Reddit, for
Yeah.
these questions.
But I mean, but here's the thing though, is that it's very much possible that in that one person's vicinity there was hype.
Mm.
It is possible.
I was just wondering if
Right.
there, what was extra about it. Like, was it like people jumping up? Was there crowd surfing? Like, I was like, what are they talking about? But no, it's interesting.
Bananas being thrown left and right.
Bananas being thrown, or people being pelted back.
Whiskey bottles,
It was insane.
pigeons shitting all over from the sky.
People thanking the pigeons for shit.
That would be
Weird
amazing.
scene.
That'd be amazing if like Miku brings on like some trained pigeons.
Oh yeah.
And they shit on you.
We have different views of what would be awesome, Peter. It'd be nice to see him fly around. Treat me like a statue.
Oh man.
Now that's the shit.
Ryan, do you have questions? I'm tapped out.
Not really. I'm pretty excited because I'm going to be heading to Japan in June.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you're going to be, Peter, but
Well, you said you're only going to be in Tokyo.
I'm going to Tokyo and Hiroshima, and I probably hit up Kyoto for a day and Osaka for like I'm going to stop at Osaka, but it's mainly going to be Tokyo for a week and then head to Osaka and then go to Hiroshima.
Nice.
Gotcha. Well, I live in an area north of Osaka, so if it's a weekend and it's either Osaka or Kyoto, maybe I can meet you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm gonna go. There's a couple. Well, one show I have tickets for, thanks to Poji-san in Japan. Saya Sega. Gonna see them and trying to get tickets for Nemophila
Nice.
because they just announced the show. I think the 14th or 15th of June.
Yeah, I have 2 shows lined up for Sega, one in May and then one in June.
Right on. 17th is when I'm going in June. I think it's Tokyo.
I think your show is right after the one in Osaka, which is where I'm going to.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, how do you feel about all these extra tour dates that just came up, and more to come for Band-Maid?
How do I feel about it? Oh, I'm happy for people.
Are you gonna be coming?
It means nothing to me. It means nothing.
I guess that means you won't be here.
I guess you won't be here, guys. Sorry, you will not be. I thought it was really cool that they're introducing new cities and states. I was like, that's really cool. Like,
yeah, it's
places
like they
have
a lot of places they couldn't do last time, man. Really
that's
cool.
exciting. I like.
I'm. I was kind of wondering, did they? No, I don't think they intentionally kept them off so that they could go to the shows this year. I just think that it was planned out for last year, and then I think they tried to plan dates where they could go to places they hadn't before. So for me, it's really weird. I like right before this interview, I did a video for our channel, and I was talking about, the cities, the dates in the cities that they'll be like doing their shows at. And then it looked weird. It looked weird to see like Missouri and Band-Maid. It looked weird. It just looked weird to see like North Carolina Band-Maid.
Yeah, which is exciting because that means there is demand in those states, and that's awesome that they're going to get to there and to reach those fans that weren't able to see them, that because the other places are on the outskirts of the U.S. and I feel like this is more inward, and I wonder if they're going to, I think they will add maybe some more Midwestern states and stuff like that. That'd be interesting to see. Because I think they could bring in a poll, because there's people that will travel anyways to see them. And I thought it was really awesome to see. I can't believe they're doing more touring, and I hope they stay healthy and, you know, stay strong during this, because they're playing a lot of shows. Like, this is a lot of shows.
The biggest, the person that's probably the most fragile is Konami.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, she's the only one that I'm like sort of concerned about in terms of like the shows. Everyone else, I think they'll be okay. I mean, Psyche's vocals, I know, like it does take a toll on her too. So, but I think she learned where her limit is with last year's show.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, in terms of like seeing, you know, them going to those different states, like that's amazing. It's amazing to see them like, yeah, I would say taking a chance, because I am pretty sure that those shows will get sold out as well. I mean, you'll probably easily have like a good 200 people flying in, driving in from wherever they need to.
Oh yeah.
You know, aside from like locals. So there's no worry about that.
I feel like we're getting to the cusp of an intimate venue. This might be your last chance, I feel like, or close to it.
I think we kind of thought maybe the last tour was the last chance, and for them to throw out these new shows in the same similar sized venues is freaking cool, man. I'm trying to try hit at least one show. I'm not gonna go to 6 this time.
What? We're not going to 6 shows, Ryan?
I can't convince my wife that it needs to happen with this Nemophila in March and Polyphia.
I was like, I guess we're
April.
going on. I was gonna be
I
like,
got Band-Maid in May and Japan in June. It's a little ridiculous.
I was like, I guess we're going on tour again, Ryan.
I can't do that again. Even though it's a lot more concentrated, it would be easier.
Yeah.
I do think.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the other thing too is that you have May where they have those dates added. So it's those 6 one-man shows, and then you have those 3 festivals.
Yeah.
And then August is a complete blank slate in terms of where in the States. And I think people are confused about that. And so for those of you who are really hoping for fans, for Band-Maid to come to Europe or wherever else, Australia, it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. They announced it. They announced it at Tokyo Garden Theater. May and August are the States.
So there's still more stuff coming in August we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're coming to Plymouth, Indiana.
I doubt it.
No, they're not.
Well, they could go to Indiana though. There's some. Where would they go to in Indiana? What would be a city?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, Indianapolis. Yeah. Is that kind of close? Not really, huh? That's another thing.
It's only a couple hours away.
That's the thing.
Same
is like
Chicago.
Anywhere in the States is a long travel, depending on where you are in the States too. Like it's
the
not
closest place they would ever play is at least 2 hours away. So that's nothing.
People are already hitting me up. They're like, "Ellen, you going to Austin?" I'm like, "You do realize Austin's 10 hours from El Paso."
Right? Yeah, it's in Texas, but
they're like, "That's not that far from you." I'm like, "Yes, it is." It's closer for me to go to Denver, Colorado, or Phoenix than go to Dallas.
Okay, wait. So you're in Texas. Where are you, Ryan?
I'm in Indiana, northern Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like a couple hours from Chicago, a couple hours from Indianapolis, and about 6 to 10 hours away from where they're going to be playing this time around.
Yeah,
got it.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. We have SJ and Nix coming on tomorrow to talk about the last Rockstar show and his experience, because he was there at that show. It looked like he was camping. He put up pictures and stuff of him outside. So I guess he was homeless for a day. No, just kidding. But go ahead and check out Maine News Network. It's a really awesome channel. They follow the girls and they try to get fans and everybody involved on the channel, and it's a really cool thing what you guys got going on there. They keep you updated with what's happening with the band. And it's really cool. I really like the channel. It's a really good channel. I love watching it. I definitely use their channel to help us with our news segment on Sundays. So I appreciate it, Peter, helping out the guys, keeping us updated and informed in one place is a great thing. And we appreciate you, man, what you're doing for the community and everything with the music. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Anything I want to say? It was fun talking with you guys again. Yeah, it's it's good to talk about Band-Maid, talk about some music and what's going on. Yeah, I wish you guys well again. I've said it before, but I hope you guys are doing well. I am curious. So, here's my question. You asked me about MNN's goals for this year. What about you guys for Gaijin guys or for your individual channels?
World. I'm not gonna say that.
Man, it's just being that hub of Japanese music news for Gaijin guys, just trying to expand, include more bands. I know it seems like we've been kind of central focus on like Band-Maid and baby metal, but we plan on expanding, to talking, well, it depends on what the band does, right? So Band-Maid's been doing a lot, baby metal's been doing a lot, so it's been really focused on that. But like we got Nemophila, talking about Nemophila a lot, which is like one of my favorite bands as of lately. I just can't get enough of them. But so yeah, just keep doing what we're doing, and just for me personally, make it better, and work on making it better, and just keep doing what we're doing. And then of course for my band stuff, like we're writing new music. 3 songs down, we got 7 more to go, and just trying to get that production done and get ready to release an album.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. How about you, Ryan?
As far as Gaijin guys, I'm going to keep doing the minimum amount I have to do just to be part of it. No, I think it's growing kind of, consistently. And it's something I really enjoy doing every week. I look forward to it. So
same.
I don't know. I think, the people that are involved, not us, but the people that show up every week and discuss things, I just hope we're giving them, what they want to hear. And yeah, like Alan said, we've been focused on a couple bands here recently, but that's because they've been doing a lot. So the more news comes out, the more we're going to cover. We like so many bands that it's we always leave somebody out. It's hard not to cover everything.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I will say, after dipping my feet into Tokyo's like music pool, it goes really, really deep. Yeah. It goes really, really deep. And there are bands out there who are just like 24/7 working their asses off, like trying to make something. And it's awesome to see. And it's, you feel a little bit sad because they've been at it for years. And unless they get like an international break, like baby metal or Band-Maid, like I've mentioned this before to other people, but, they end up sort of being Tokyo's club like music scene ends up sort of being a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And so I would say, for those of you out there, expand your horizons even more than just what you see on YouTube and what the reactors do, which is a great introduction. But be willing to listen to other bands that you've never even heard of.
Exactly.
Like
that's a great point, man. I try and do that with my channels. I have a lot of bands that a lot of people don't know about, but they're just fantastic bands. And I bring them up and like, they got 1,500 subscribers. What the hell? This is amazing.
Right.
I think a band that had a really solid blueprint is do those covers. Covers are always going to help bands that are starting up. Talk with Ray from One Eye Closed, and even he was weird about doing covers, and I think that's kind of sentiment over there. Correct me if I'm wrong. He does One Eye Closed they're from Japan, and he's saying like a lot of them are weird about doing covers, but look at what Nemophila did and other groups, Hanabiye. Doing those covers really break you out into that thing. I mean, I don't know. I know Band-Maid hasn't. I'm not sure. That's interesting. I know Band-Maid's done a couple covers, but those nowadays I feel like that's a really big segue into people's consciousness, like to do those covers, to get on people's map, to do those songs, you know, that maybe don't want to do as much, or do the bands that you like a lot, or maybe you're a fan of certain bands, try covering their songs. I think that really helps.
That's a great way to let people know, like, a sample of your music without them having to dive into music they don't know.
Yeah,
and that's what Nemophila did. They covered what, Max? Did they do Max?
Oh, yeah, they did Maximum Hormone.
They've done a lot.
Hormone and Iron Maiden and Skid Row and all this stuff. You're like, well, these guys are everywhere. Then you listen to their music and like, yeah, these guys are everywhere. It's really cool.
Bon Jovi, Luna Sea, like they've done everything, which is crazy. I talked about their last album, and I love their last album. You can tell that they know a lot of different genres and areas of music, and it shows in their original music. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped about that, man. I can't wait to hear more from them.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to wrap up, I would definitely encourage like everyone who's watching Gaijin Guys, who gets a lot of news about these different bands, is to go even beyond that. You know, take what they give you, and again, be willing to, like, when you see a flyer of a band you know with maybe 5 other bands you don't know, try to look for those 5 other bands that you've never heard of and see, because I found a few. And what inspired me was my trip to Tokyo. And my biggest takeaway from Tokyo actually wasn't Tokyo Garden Theater, which may seem like a shock. Wow. But it was that there's more. And it's not like I didn't know that, but I think experiencing it personally, getting a chance to talk with members of the band and seeing them like passing out flyers, trying to sell like any CD they can, it just makes you remember, like, yeah, these are people like trying to make a livelihood. And it made me want to try to make people more aware of these bands too. So that's what I've been trying to do slowly. And I don't know, I mean, that might be a direction that I might personally take. I don't know if MNN can do that, but maybe try to raise some more awareness of other bands as well, I think would be great.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool, man.
I think everything is going in that right direction. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you all later. See you all tomorrow. We're going to go on at our usual time. And so if you get bored of the Super Bowl, you don't want to watch the Super Bowl, come watch us. We're going to have SJ Nix on. We're going to see how the last rock stars are. And Band-Maid, of course, who opened for them. So it's going to be a very exciting interview with him. So we'll see you all in the next one, all right? See you.
Yep. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks guys.
Thank you, Peter, for coming on.
Bye.